Hello, good day, ladies and gentlemen. So, I am the last reporter for this semester in this subject. Before that, let me introduce myself. My name is Allan Tagara, BA at second year. So, today I am going to discuss with you the revisiting the 14 learner-centered psychological principles. So, learning the 14 learner-centered psychological principles can be a valuable tool for educators who are looking to create a learning environment that promotes the academic, social, and emotional well-being of their students. These principles were developed by the American Psychological Association's Coalition for Psychology in Schools and Education, and they provide a framework for educators to design effective learning experiences that meet the diverse needs of all students. So the 14 principles are based on research in psychology and education, and they reflect the idea that learning is an active, social, and dynamic process that occurs when students are engaged in meaningful and relevant activities. By understanding and applying these principles, educators can create a learning environment that fosters students' motivation, autonomy, and sense of competence and help them to develop deep understanding and transferable skills. So, in the following sections, we will explore each of the 14 principles in more detail, providing example, which is I will show you later na parang part na lang siya ng 14 principles, and since na-discuss na ng mga past reporters yung report na to. So, whether you are a new teacher or an experienced educator, learning and applying these principles can help you to create a classroom that supports students' learning, growth, and success. So, without further ado, let's proceed to the first one, since I have three topics here. First one is the learners are at the center of the learning process. The criticisms of direct instruction have led educators to put more emphasis on the role of the students in the learning process. Many opted for a more student-centered environment as opposed to the traditional teacher-centered setup. So learners are given more choices. Learning activities are designed with the needs, interests, and developmental levels of the learners in foremost consideration. So the statement, learners are the center of the learning process, is the key principle in education that puts the focus on the students as the most important element in the learning process. This principle recognizes that learners have unique needs, interests, and prior knowledge, and that effective learning occurs when these factors are taken into account in the instructional design and delivery. So traditionally, education has been teacher-centered, and with the teacher being the primary source of knowledge and the students being passive receivers of information. However, in a learner-centered approach, the role of the teacher shifts from being the expert who imparts knowledge to being a facilitator who helps students to construct their own understanding. So, in a learner-centered approach, the curriculum and instructional strategies are designed to be responsive to the needs of interests of the students. So, this involves allowing students to have a voice in the learning process, encouraging them to take ownership of their learning and providing opportunities for them to engage in active and collaborative learning experiences. So, by placing learners at the center of the learning process, educators are able to create a more personalized and meaningful learning experience, which can lead to better retention of knowledge and higher levels of engagement and motivation. So, let's proceed to the number two. teacher guides students' construction of understanding. So the 14 principles were put together because of the growing implications of research in cognitive psychology. Teachers in learner-centered classroom provide a lot of opportunity in the learners to actively think, figure out things, and learn to on their own. The teacher serves more as a facilitator and a guide on the side rather than a sage on the stage. So that statement, teacher guides students construction of understanding. So that is the key principle of learner-centered approach to education. It means that the teacher plays a crucial role in guiding and facilitating the learning process, but it is the students who actively construct their own understanding of the content being taught. So in a traditional teacher-centered approach to education, the teacher is seen as a source of knowledge and the students are expected to be passively receive and memorize information. However, in a learner-centered approach, the teacher acts as a facilitator who helps students to construct their own understanding of their materials. So the teacher guides the students' construction of understanding by providing a framework for learning, asking questions that help students to think critically, and facilitating discussions that allow students to share their ideas and perspectives. So the focus is on the active learning, where students are encouraged to engage with the material, ask questions, and make connections between different concepts. So through this process, the students are able to develop a deep understanding of the material that goes beyond memorization and role learning. By constructing their own understanding of the content, students are more likely to retain the information and apply it in new and meaningful ways. So overall, the principles sorry overall the principles teacher guides students construction of understanding emphasizes the importance of collaboration, or should I say collaborative and interactive learning environment where the teachers act as guide and facilitator and the students are active participants in their own learning. Again, so let's proceed to the last one. So teachers teach for understanding. Students are placed at the center of the learning process. The teachers help them to take responsibility for their learning. As a result, students students, through their own active search and experimentation, experience a movement from confusion to searching for answers, to discovery, and finally to understanding. So, um, that praise teachers for understanding refers to the idea that effective teaching involves helping students to truly understand and the concepts and skills being taught rather than just memorizing facts or procedures. That means that teachers should seek to help students develop a deep comprehension of the subject matter so that they can apply it in a new variety of contexts and situation. So, teaching for understanding often involves using a variety of teaching strategies and techniques, such as engaging students in inquiry based learning, encouraging critical thinking and problem solving, and providing opportunities for students to apply their learning in meaningful ways. So, teachers who prioritize understanding also tend to focus on helping students develop key skills such as analysis, synthesis, and evaluation rather than just rule memorization. So overall, the goal of teaching for understanding is to help students become lifelong learners who can apply what they have learned in meaningful and relevant ways throughout their activities. So thank you for listening, and as a conclusion, learning and applying the 14 learner-centered psychological principles can be a valuable tool for educators who want to create a learning environment that promotes the academic, social, and emotional well being of their students. These principles provide a research-based framework for designing effective learning experience that meet the diverse needs of all students. By creating a learning environment that is based on these principles, educators can foster students' motivation, autonomy, and sense of competence and help them to develop deep understanding and transferable skills. So educators can use these 14 principles as a guide to design the implement effective teaching strategies and as assessments that promote students' learning and understanding by providing multiple and varied representation of concepts and skills using authentic and meaningful tasks and providing timely and relevant feedback. Educators can create learning environment that supports students' growth and success. So overall, the 14 learner-centered psychological highlight the importance of creating learner-centered environment that recognize and accommodates each student's unique learning needs, abilities, and interests. So by learning and applying these principles, educators can create a classroom that supports students' learning and development and help students to achieve their full potential. Thank you for listening and mabuhay.